Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to what's it? Nani episode. This is anime we're currently watching. Today we're going to be talking about Frieren episode 8, season 2, and this pretty much was the conclusion of the demon fights. And straight right to we go straight into the fight, and the animation was really good, especially that camera angle. And I gave to Stark, man. Stark showed me something in this fight, but I feel as though Stark, was a very important in this fight as well, because him and Ganyu, I really felt as though had good chemistry in the fight. But we'll get into it a little bit later right there. But like I said, they start fighting, and like I said, it looked like this guy was too much for Stark. But what Stark likes to do, he likes to give out openings for his teammates. He's done that before many times when fighting with Frieren and Fern, and so he actually took a hit on purpose for Ganyu to actually land a hit, a major hit. It was almost like a life-threatening hit, but the Revolti was still alive. And Revolti was like, you know what? You look familiar. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I killed your partner, which we all know that he was going to say that. It was pretty much was leading into that last week. And so he basically said, yeah, you know what? You're out looking for demons. Well, he stayed in the village, and I killed him. And he was on to. We see a flash of him and his master with his teammate, dead. It's like saying that it's always the kind people that always die first. You're not kind at all. Stay wicked. He's like, of course, master. And so yeah, you guys humans are always distracted. But we do see a human gotta go to save the kid. That kid stabs him. It looks like it was a fatal blow, and it was a demon. It was that same demon from last week. It was she basically saying, "Oh, tell me about the demons. Tell me about the demons. I mean, not demons. Tell me about the humans. Tell me about the humans." She's like, "I did it. And then bang! I was like, yeah, "Fuck you." Cause yeah, f them kids right there. But guys just say, "Yeah, when I see a demon, I kill that demon." And everybody's like, "Oh, thank you for your service." And it's like, well, "Damn, bro! You didn't even care about the girl right there." You're like, "Yeah, nah, she be alright. She be alright." I thought that was very funny. But he's like, yeah, humans, you're always too kind. You want to help kids. You want to help the kids when you see them. It's like, if that were the case, this would be a peaceful world right now. Clearly, that's not the case. But Gunnar was getting ready to accept this. Then he's like, man, that's not a character in me. But Stark saves him and says, like, no, we need to win this fight. He's like, you should have just stayed there. It's like, no. The winner of this fight is the last one standing. We need to work together to fight this guy. And this is where I feel as though Gano was sharing a little bit. Showing them, he's like, I will go into the jaws of death for you right there. And the Tiger was like, I'm smiling. I can't stop shaking. So now it's like, we're going to work together. Now before that, I want to get to the Frieren and Fern and Amethyste's fight. Now, remember, Frieren says, Fern, you guys absolute faith you can beat this guy. She's like, I don't know, I can do it, man. She's having some doubts. And so Methete with her fight, she's like, you know what? Let's let loose for a little bit. And so she lets loose, and she has this, mysterious mist that's creating illusions where the demon thinks he hits Methete, but no, it's an illusion. And so I mean, hey, the manipulation right there is just like, you gotta be careful with that fight. You got to be careful. And so with that fight, as she's, honestly, you had to get ran the whole entire time. As for the other demon, he noticed that the fog disappeared. He's alright, you know what? I can go ahead and create another one. As soon as that fog disappears, he gets hit by a beam of light from a very, very far distance, which happens to be Fern. And so, as the other demons get ready to attack Methete, she sees the beam. Bam! Right there. It's like, wait, what the hell? She's like, wait, I can't just get bam! The beam hits her, another beam hits the demon. And it's like, Free was like, yeah, a beam where it's it's very difficult to detect where it's coming from, especially for that distance. This is a very, very far. It's I probably further for a sniper on Call of Duty right there. So I thought that was really dope by Fern doing that. And now, back to the fighting hand with, Ganyu and Stark. I really liked the team combination that they were doing. They were using a lot of great teamwork. One of the things that I really liked was, well, first of all, guy was like, "Yo, this Rosa guy is still finding it tough, even though we did a light threat and move to him. He's still finding it tough. This guy is very tough to deal with." And so, one thing that was cool was that um, when Stark didn't have his weapon, he swung the axe at the dude. He's still running up the windmill and still tackles the guy down. You know what I'm saying? And he grabbed Ganu saved him from like laying on the ground. Grabs his axe, he's able to break one of the swords. So they're bringing the swords one by one. It's like, yo, break the swords right there. He won't have much. But yes, they break all the swords, but like that wasn't enough, to stop. Which I mean, yeah, it's like, hey, just because you took out my sword does that mean I can't fight? Which I like that, but yeah, without the swords, he was still able to like do like a piercing attack on both these guys, and I'm like, oh shit. But that wasn't enough to kill them guys. Which I'm like, yo, these guys are pouring their heart and soul into this fight. And you have Stark, doing what was the movie called again? Cleveland Light. And they just was like that was almost like pretty much the fatal blow. And Ganu does like the last attack to Volte, and they defeat the enemy together. Obviously, they took a lot because they were both knocked out. They woke up. Stark's being healed, and so is Ganu. And I like the fact that you still remember that Stark called Ganu a good guy, and so he did say hopefully we can meet again. Hopefully we can live longer. And Ganu smiles. Like I think seeing Ganu smiles right there is obviously the highlight of the episode, because I said he says he's not a good person. We see that this guy barely sheds any emotions. Like, what? Don't have any emotions, you'll live longer. That's how, in this world, that's how the world works. You know what I'm saying? Don't show any kindness. And, yeah, he understands it. But I feel as though Stark definitely, had a huge impact on them. Because, honestly, without Stark, I feel as though Ganu... never say never, but I feel as though had Stark not be there, maybe Ganu would have won that fight a little bit. I'm not sure. But it would have been a lot tougher. But I just feel as though having both of them there was better for them. But like I said, would they have won that fight had it not been for Stark? I don't know. But, let's know, like, they use absolutely great terror right there. And it's great to see, Ganu smiling. Hopefully, they see each other again. So, yeah, man, I thought it was a good episode. Definitely a good fight. You know what I'm saying? Against this method guy. Like I said, I feel as though Frieren's, Ferns, and Mathilde's fight, they kind of like they pretty much sudden those statements whereas Ganu and Stark was like, they were on a life support fighting this demon. Now, obviously, too, had it not been for that had not been for the other demon disguising himself as the kid, this fight would have been done easier. But listen, it showed that Ganu still has a heart. He might not show all the time, he might not express it. Like, he'll show in his actions. Like, he'll show in his actions, but he won't ever show it on his face, though. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I said, they buried the villagers. They had to pray for the villagers. Like I said, they were rested easy at the end of it, which is a nice thing. But cool episode, man. Obviously, the best episode so far in season 2. But like, I'm not sure season 2 is going to be like 10 episodes, or I don't think they have another half. Do they? I think it's just only 10 episodes for the season, which is very short. I didn't say anything about a part 2. I don't think so. So I'll double check on that. But yeah, folks. Let me know what you guys think about this episode. Comment, like, share, subscribe, follow my social media accounts in the description box below. And always remember what Jacob said, there is no such thing as a life better than yours. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.